Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a never seen before phone call between Kaden Pressy and Officer Anthony, a part of the LE. As for Anthony, his name has been brought up previously when I did that video with the screenshots, text conversations of Alicia Lee texting him in regards to, I think, Kathy Bingham and that CCTV footage of the porchway and the communication, the breakdown within it, the questioning, the lack of trust and all that mess, which was never seen before up until I did a video. Well, it just so happens that once again, just as of today, I believe, or last night, another video, another piece of material has been posted, this time publicly before me. So it seems like it's not going to cause too much trouble because it's already out there. People are already commenting and responding. It's a bit of a mess. What I want to do today is present to you the video itself, the clip, in its full length. Not just one part, but the whole length, to my knowledge at least. So be sure to stick around. Don't go anywhere because you need the full context and understanding. Just to inquire about the theme of what it's to do with, in case you're wondering, it's Kaden Pressy referring to Justin Roy. Kaden Pressy reaching out to Officer Anthony because of Justin Roy's influence. Now, there are some words exchanged within the conversation, and it could portray Justin Roy in a negative light. I just want to play the video today so you can see it. I've made some bullet points and notes, so I can go back over it afterwards, analyse further, give you my points of view, add on previous context and backstories with the conversations between Anthony and Alicia Lee, and then we'll see where it goes from there. If we need to expand, we can also look at the case discussion page where the post came from in the first place or reshared onto there with the comments, the responses, Justin Roy's point of view too. Because whilst it could portray someone in a possible negative light today, it's also important to acknowledge what they've got to say in response. Take in mind, the time I do this video, it might only show so much of the conversation on the Facebook page. Later, more comments may follow, but it'll be too late then because I've already recorded a video. But if we do need a follow-up, an update in regards to additional material or evidence, then that can be done. But from the looks of it, it appears to be quite an early on call made in regards to the case, possibly in 2023, correct me if I'm wrong. So that's what it's all about today, really focused. You don't want to miss out, you don't want to go anywhere, be sure to stick about. Just do a little introduction right now. Welcome to those that are currently watching this live premiere. Be sure to let me know your reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And at the end of watching this, be sure to drop a comment down below under the video to let me know your thoughts, your additional questions, responses, and it will help with spreading awareness of this video and the case as a whole. And if you do want to catch up on recent coverage of my videos from last night and days before, very important stuff, top right corner, you'll be able to find it where the I symbol is. You'll find the full playlist and then an additional few videos as well recently. And as well, if you want to support me, my channel, when covering this case or just in general at any point in time, and you don't want greedy YouTube to take majority of the super chats and super stickers away from the creator you support him, there is a PayPal link down below in the comment section, pinned message right at the top with the links to follow through with. Big shout out to those that have supported the channel in recent time, and as of today or last night, you know who you are. Credit to those people, very, very positive to see. And with that all being said, it just gives that boost to push on. But just with as importance, with the silencing in recent time, that's boosted me to push on too. So even if bad events have happened to me or to the channel, it's not been the complete end of the world, but it definitely has kicked things into action, which has led to these more in-depth videos and getting bits and bobs of material, combining it together, comparing and contrasting, and that's kind of like what we're doing today. So without further ado, I'm going to play to you the video itself of Kaden Pressy from his point of view in the backseat of a car on vacation with his family, him recording the conversation on his phone with somebody else's device, I believe so. Possibly in 2023, it would make sense. Calling Officer Anthony for the very first time because of Justin Roy's influence. Just be sure to listen in, take notes if you want. I've got them by the side of me. And then once the video has finished, we'll conclude, or at least group back up with the additional thoughts and highlight the bold points which are important and to put in perspective. And then we could possibly go to the other screenshots which you may have seen before and others may never, and then tie it up with the case discussion comment page. It's quite a mouthful, but I just wanted to make everything very clear so you know what to expect today, and I appreciate people's patience. Without further ado, let's begin the video.
Hello?
Hello? Is this Officer Anthony?
Uh-huh.
Hi, I was told to contact you by Justin.
Okay.
My name is Kaden Pressy.
Oh, yeah. How's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Good.
Was there some questions or something that you were wanting to ask me?
I don't think so. Not at this moment.
No.
I don't know. What did he say? I'm a little confused.
Here, I'll read it to you. So he texted my mother saying, to contact OHP Officer Anthony, and it gave me a contact number. And then he said, Justin needs you to call and speak to this OHP officer. So I'm guessing I just need to tell you my story from what happened the night.
What happened, like, in September?
Yeah, what happened with Noah.
Okay. I got you. Okay. So, man, wait a minute. Are you busy?
I got some minutes to spare.
You got a couple of minutes?
Yes, sir.
How well do you know Justin?
I do not know him at all. All I know is that he is the wrestling coach for Noah, I guess.
Okay. Well, because he makes a lot of posts and makes a lot of comments and stuff, and he really makes himself seem involved in kind of our investigation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I can 100% agree with you there.
Huh?
I said I 100% agree with you there.
You won't?
I said I 100% agree with you there.
You wanna? I think you said I wanna. Okay, yeah. He's sent in a lot of stuff, and it's kind of like I told him, and I talked to him last week, and I talked to him 10 minutes ago. That's probably why you're calling me. I said, man, you're trying to put a 5-piece puzzle together with 2 pieces of information, and one of those pieces is inaccurate. So you're drawing way too many conclusions. And I said, man, we still got some people we got to talk to, and maybe talk to again and stuff like that. I said, but we're working on this deal. And so what did he do? He called your mom and said, the Highway Patrol needs to talk to him.
Yep.
I'd like to talk with you. We can, but I'm not gonna do that like, on the, I hate to say this, but I'm not gonna do that on the order of Justin Roy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you there.
I hate that he bugged you like that. Where do you live at?
I live in Duncan, but right now I'm on vacation. So this weekend,
dude, you're on vacation. I mean, how old are you? 19, 20?
Just turned 20, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot going on. You guys have been dealing with a whole lot of stuff. Did they talk to you guys? Did they talk to you? I'm kind of. I wasn't there. I didn't go in and do a bunch of interviews in the very beginning. Have the Highway Patrol, anybody talked to you yet? Have you had an interview at all?
I actually had to reach out to the OHP multiple times to talk to them because I wanted to get my story out.
Yeah.
And I just talked to Zachary, that Zach guy, once, and that was the end of the story, I guess.
How long ago was that?
That was like a month or two after it happened.
Okay. Yeah.
But
so Zach he took the original call, and he was the original guy working it, and he's still working it, but we've got a couple other guys that had a little bit more flexibility with the schedule and stuff that are kind of doing some follow-up stuff. When do you come back from vacation?
We can meet up this weekend and talk if you want.
This weekend?
Yes, sir.
Let's see, what's today? Monday. Let's try and do something like that. Let's wait till you get back.
All right.
I'm not going. Where are you on vacation at? Were you anywhere good?
We're up here visiting some cabins up in the foresty part of Oklahoma.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Is this your phone number?
Yes, sir. This is my primary phone number.
Just man, holler at me when you come back, and then we'll set something up. We'll go down there and visit with you, and a lot of, and this provides another opportunity too. A lot of stuff has been said. People are talking. Not just Justin, but a lot of people, and so it'll be another opportunity to say like, hey, like, yes, this is true. No, that's completely false. Like, this is all internet talk.
Yes, sir.
And so we'll be able to do that. I don't remember what was said. I really don't, and I don't care. It doesn't matter. I saw that, you made a Facebook post or a comment or something a while back, maybe a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, no big, I'm not worried. If you feel like, that's what you needed to do. I know you've been, I think you even said on there, like, I've been, I haven't said anything. I've been waiting my turn or whatever.
Yeah, I've only been speaking to the people that need to know, not the people that want to know,
Yeah, and that's very smart of you. That's very, very smart. I highly encourage you to continue doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I highly encourage you to continue doing that because, it's frustrating. And, everybody wants answers. I want the answers too, but we're piecing a big puzzle together. And like I said a minute ago, I don't want to do it with wrong or inaccurate information. So, enjoy your vacation, dude. Holler at me when you get back. We'll set something up. We'll meet you down there in Duncan. I mean, I live in Blanchard, so it's not very far.
All right.
And we'll sit down and talk, and we'll clear all this stuff up and go on down the road. I mean, if it's, unless you absolutely just have, a smoking gun or something, I'm not going to bug you on your vacation. You know what I'm saying?
The only thing I am worried about is that a lot of the stuff that has been going around. I mean, it's sad to say it, but Jack Newton was one of my best friends before this happened, and then it's like the whole friend group just split up right after this. But a lot of the stuff that they are saying are completely false, which is just making me more suspicious about what they are saying.
When you say they, who do you mean they?
The Newton family and the Combs family.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, we'll talk about that when you get back. We'll cover stuff up, or not cover it up, but we'll cover stuff and we'll get it all figured out. So.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thanks for calling. I'm sorry, dude. That's I'd rather talk to you in person. I don't want to bug you on the phone, and I wasn't going to call you. Like I said, I've got some other things that we're working on, and other cases and other things, and so I wasn't necessarily ready to bug you yet. So,
yes,
but yeah,
sir.
when you come back, we'll set something up, and we'll sit down and talk.
All right, thank you. You have a good day, sir. You too.
All right, you too. Be careful.
Bye.
After listening to that, are you shocked, surprised by the audio, the conversations, either by what Kaden had to say or what Officer Anthony mentioned? I'm just going to read it out in the notes that I made on paper. First one being Kaden Pressy and Officer Anthony talking for the very first time because they didn't seem acquainted or well known to one another. Very first time round calling. And Kaden saying, I was told to contact you by Justin Roy. Now, why did Justin Roy reach out to Kaden Pressy and or Alicia Lee? Why was that the primary focus there? Out of all party goers, why Kaden? Is it because he was the honest one at the time, seen as the good person, and that caught the attention of Justin? Or is it just because Justin did the rounds of, reaching out to other party goers for answers, done the Jacks, done the Averys, the Carters, whoever is possible to reach out to, and it not going anywhere or not quite working out, so let's try and tick it off the list. Next bullet point, Justin Roy supposedly texted Alicia Lee, and in quotes, Justin needs you to call Officer Anthony, aimed towards Kaden Pressy. Interesting. And within the conversation of the phone call, Anthony mentioned about, with time, Justin reaching out constantly, and also 10 minutes ago before this call that you made to me. I don't know if that was just being a joke or if it was truly meant. It might be true if it's just 10 minutes before that call made by Kaden to Officer Anthony, if there was some kind of, reach out made by Justin to Alicia or to Kaden about, right, you need to do it now. And of all time, it being, the vacation by Kaden where he's on with family in Oklahoma, some woodland area and cabins. But would Justin know that? Depends on, it all comes down to timing. Could be interpreted as poor timing, but a level of passion. And we'll get more to that later, the psychological aspect behind it. Anthony said, how well do you know Justin? So it doesn't start off well, the conversations, as in Kaden, no offense, bit of a deer in the headlights, as in just being ordered and told to reach out to Officer Anthony. Now Kaden probably will and would, because he wants to help, he wants to cooperate. And we, months later with those interviews and stuff, we heard how Kaden wanted to reach out, wanted to hand the phone over, was quite proactive early on, but for a couple of months it just didn't work out and people didn't want much to do with him or didn't accept his phone or data and stuff like that. A bit weird. But this particular call with Officer Anthony, first time round, out of the blue, I guess for both individuals, communicating, Justin being the influence, Anthony, I guess, inquiring to Kaden Pressy as for, why did you really contact me? Can you trust Justin? Can you give me a backstory? Because we have dealt with him previously. So what has he said or done to you? It'll make more sense in a second. And Kaden Pressy basically said, well, he doesn't really know Justin only as some kind of coach, wrestling coach to Noah Presgrove. So at the time, Kaden Pressy not familiar with Justin Roy, but Justin Roy somewhat familiar with Kaden or Alicia in order to reach out to them. Interesting. When you interpret it like this and the way it's going, if you didn't know who was who, you'd be thinking, wait, is Justin Roy a family member because of how proactive they are at the time? Anthony also mentions in quotes in regards to Justin Roy, Justin, makes a lot of posts online on Facebook. He makes himself involved in the investigation along with us as if he was a part of the police or some kind of detective, but he's not. He's a member of the general public, but he's playing a big role, quite active with his voice, his post online. And Justin has acknowledged that in the past, not so much in the capacity of overtaking or getting in the way, obstructing the investigation as with cooperation with police, law enforcement, but as for Anthony's tone, came across as in, Justin Roy, he's a problematic person. He's getting in the way. He's trying to tag alongside us, but he's not in our league. He's not, don't have that clearance level yet. He's, siding with us and pushing on where he probably shouldn't be if he's just a member of the general public. So, to be honest, Anthony didn't seem to say much positive about Justin Roy. And as for Kaden Pressy said, I 100% agree with you. So at least at the time, Kaden Pressy, from his own words, he agrees that Justin Roy has made a lot of posts, been involved, maybe too involved with the investigation and possibly indirectly getting in the way of the police. Kaden agrees with that, or did at the time. Things could have changed since. We may not know the full relationship status and communication and friendships and connection with time. Some break down, others strengthen, and new ones merge with time. So, got to understand the relevancy of certain posts and videos, because it might paint someone in a negative light. It might make them look bad, or it might make a situation look unstable. But if it's back then, things may have changed since. Kind of like if people have been painting the dark side in a negative light or in a worse light because of an old post made, old communication. But ever since, things have shifted or changed. So relevant at the time, but maybe not as relevant now. I do remember in the Dylan Rounds case where along the way painting the family or the parents in a negative light or the relationship status at some point, and parts of it was like really old news and not relevant to the case or not relevant to the now, what matters most, present. And it's tactics done by some people to desperately claw and scratch the way in to disrupt the case, disrupt people's credibility. And it can happen anytime, anywhere. Are we seeing that within this case? Are we seeing that today? Where you can let me know your thoughts below. But Anthony did mention that, you put 5 pieces of a puzzle with 2 pieces. So it's like you're trying to solve a case, a mystery. There's so many pieces of the puzzle that are needed, required, and you've only got 2 pieces. You can't solve an entire puzzle board with only 2 pieces when there's like 6, 7, 8, 9 more required. Jumping the gun and maybe grasping at some straws. And Anthony adds on by saying that one of the pieces of information was inaccurate. No elaboration as in what it was about. Was the information about who could be responsible? A timestamp of an event? Don't know. But an actual law enforcement officer stated that a piece of information that Justin Roy had was incorrect. But whilst yes, you can zero in on it and say, oh my God, that's so shocking and bad, shame on Justin Roy. What about all the other people there in the case and community that may have made mistakes, or others who have intentionally spread, created, started misinformation or disinformation with time? That should be focused on too. Would have been nice to see an elaboration by Anthony, but Anthony did mention that Justin Roy communicating, reaching out, handing over pieces of info quite full on, but just not enough or not strong enough. Anthony mentioned to Kaden how, I hate how Justin had bugged you, and especially the timing as well, being on vacation. Anthony referred to his own experience with this particular case of Noah Presgrove, saying he didn't do a bunch of interviews at the beginning, which I guess what it means is with time, then started getting more involved, and you'll probably see that shortly. Kaden Pressy mentioned to Anthony about talking with Zachary Wright 1 month after the death of Noah, or the case, the situation, and that was only done 1 time. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if Kaden had spoken or done a possible interview with Zachary Wright, would that be the 2023 one? I'm just trying to think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. We've seen the Partners in True Crime interview with Kaden Pressy, that's public, part 1 at least. Then there was a part 2, which was not released. But people have seen it on certain Facebook pages. But Alicia isn't too pleased with it being posted public, as for people that may have it. It's a weird situation to be in. But nevertheless, before that, weeks or a month before that, at the time when it took place, June 2024, you had the private interview with Kaden Pressy and 2 law enforcement guys. I don't know who those named individuals were. Does anyone know? For additional context, because it could be very helpful. And that's what was leaked, as we mostly know, and it was kind of shocking and eye-opening in a way. But then there was one other interview, and that's another private police interview with Kaden, but back in, I think, October 2023. So September, October, month or so passing by, not that long. As for Kaden, though, Kaden was saying it took a few months, 2-3 months, to speak with Zachary, so maybe it's a completely separate thing. But that 2023 interview, Kaden Pressy and law enforcement, that would be obviously very interesting to hear, which probably never be public, just because it's more fresh in the moment. So whilst you can compare, contrast the June 2024 private interview of law enforcement with the Partners in True Crime public interview part 1, and there's discrepancies and inconsistencies, for sure, it'd be interesting to see what the official formal 2024 interview compares or contrasts with the 2023 one. Is there a big difference or not? If you had to guess, do you think there might be? So there's that. Anthony had mentioned on call with Kaden that there's been a lot of talk by a range of other people besides Justin Roy. Internet talk. So it seems like been doing the research on Facebook pages at some point. Now, what page would that be? The Justice Family Run one, or the Army case discussion pages, or just publicly on Facebook? We've heard Justin's acknowledged it himself that he's been quite vocal and active on Facebook, spreading awareness, sharing what he knows of, what he's been told, screenshots of conversations with Jack Newton, etc., and so on. Kaden Pressy mentioned that only speaking to people who need to know, not want to know. That was a part of the conversation later on in the call with Anthony. Just basically means that the right people, so authorities, law enforcement, if there was like a detective, maybe Kathy Bingham, that applies to at some point, and any other authoritative figures, reaching out to them who can assist, who want to help, who are part of a case assigned. They do need to know stuff, but also they should know. And Kaden Pressy, with the information that he has, what he witnessed at the time, passing it on to them. But in terms of the people that want to know, which would be the gossipers, just the general public, and anyone else as well who's not assigned to the case, just general people wanting to know all the latest news, updates, and juicy gossip and all that, Kaden not entertaining those people. And obviously, it's interesting. Anthony said he was very impressed with Kaden and his mindset and attitude behind that. I think when it comes to Kaden Pressy, if he's reaching out to the people that need to know, would that apply to Partners in True Crime? Because in 2024, as time passing on, Kaden Pressy becoming more vocal online. It was mentioned, and it might give a bit of a understanding as when this possible call took place with Anthony, even though it's really early on. Anthony mentioned about, you were doing a Facebook post, or you might have done at some point on Facebook for the first time. You didn't say too much, but you were just introducing yourself. Now, to be honest, I don't know which one that is. I saw one myself, but that was in 2024. So really, if that's the same thing that's being referred to, then it would mean that this call that took place with Anthony and Kaden was in 2024, but that seems really late on. So unless there was another introduction by Kaden in 2023 at some point, or early 2024, because just take in mind, I did join the case late, so I'm not going to know the whole backstory and timeline as in when things actually occurred. But the introduction I remember where Kaden said, "Hi, I'm the guy, I'm the owner of the red Cherokee that drove down to the highway at around 5:21, on and on and on, talking about bits and bobs like that, trying to find his shoe, hopping about, not being able to find it, and then going off to the highway, and then at a time, then being told to come back." There was that post by Kaden Pressy. Before or after, there was another post by Kaden referring to Noah reaching out to him, asking for a lift, and saying no, couldn't do that at the time because of drinking and stuff. So there's been a couple of posts by Kaden, but not much. And even with comments as well, responses, not much at all. So it ties in line with Kaden's attitude, mentality, but obviously then with time, if it comes to the interviews, Partners in True Crime, which is public at the end of the day, reaching out to people that may need to know, but then that info being publicised, which then leads to Kaden being put in the limelight more and possibly questioned more by people that are interested, but Kaden would know what he's getting himself into there, involved in. But obviously, if you put yourself out there, you get positive, negative trade-offs, and how people may react and what they might have to say. It might not always be positive, but you know, if you can take it, if you're ready for it, then it's just what comes with it. The final point mentioned, which stood out to me by Kaden Pressy in his words, roughly speaking in quotes, saying it to Anthony, that one thing that worries him is that a lot of stuff mentioned, for example, his best friend Jack Newton and other friends parting ways from Kaden, communication breakdown, becoming separated, no longer talking, that it worries him that a lot of stuff mentioned by those type of people, what they're saying is completely false, from the Newtons and the Combs family. That's very interesting. The Combs family, does that also mean the Howard family? Because you got Carter Combs, daughter, then you've got Stevie Howard, the mother. Then you've got Avery Combs, sister to Carter, but other people refer to Avery as Avery Howard. Same person. Mother, Stevie Howard. So you could say it's the Combs / the Howards. Same thing in a way. But it's interesting how Kaden mentioned that at the time, that all what the others are saying is completely false. So what is Kaden referring to there? Because it is pretty vague. Does he mean that everything that's said about the cause of death and who could be responsible and the timing is all wrong? Because Kaden Pressy's timeline is different. What you got to understand, though, is the family's names. The Newtons and the Combs / Howards. So who would that be involved with as for party goers? Well, as for the Combs, Howards, it would be Carter Combs and Avery Combs. Stevie Howard maybe, but wasn't there at the party. But if that's who Kaden referring to, speaking on behalf of the daughters and then online and points made, then maybe they're involved as well, names dragged in more so. As for Brookbound's Carter, well, Kaden doesn't acknowledge that person's name, or really Sarah Long. I'm just basing it off, people's last names and are they related in terms of friendships or by blood. Brooke is not related by blood, but close enough because of long-term friends with likes of Stevie. Sarah Long, though, is the sister to Stevie Howard, so it's more family connected and orientated that way. So you can see how it all ties in together. As for the Newtons, more than one person, well, Jack of all people, of course, from what Kaden worded it in that call, him being one of the individuals, where things are said is completely false, from Kaden Pressy's point of view. Besides Jack, who else? Colton, because they were supposedly a party goer at some point, but what's Colton had to say there, which is deemed completely false by Kaden. Caleb Newton, even though not at the party, present at some point at least near to the highway and the communication of the fishing trip and what Caleb would have said, maybe the odd Facebook statement and post. So Rosa Newton, but they've played no role whatsoever. I'm just basing it off family trees, names and connected individuals. Is Kaden referring to only those who were present at the party under the names and titles of these families, or just as a whole, whether you were there at the party or not? Either way, it sounds definitely like Kaden Pressy versus the world, versus everyone. But that'd be a step too far because, well, as you say, the Newton family, the Combs family, you know what family that isn't included? The Millan family. And at the end of the day, how many Millans were at the party, or at least at some point? Jasmine Millan, of course. Stephanie Millan, supposedly too, for quite some time. And then later, after the news of Noah's death, you had Rene Milan, husband to Rene, Stephanie's boyfriend, but not married, so not related by blood or somewhat by blood or cross-family connection, not quite there at the time. So that would be retracted. 4 or 5 people. As for Jade, not present at the party at the time, I think pregnant and elsewhere. Who else is there? Any other Milans? Well, to be honest, possibly from Justin Roy's perspective in that Partners in True Crime interview, that some of his family were married into the Milan family and were present at the party. And Justin says about 6 to 10 of his family members down at the party. How many out of the 10 were married into the Milan family? So there's a good portion of people, isn't there, from the Milan perspective, but Kaden doesn't mention anything bad about those people. Kaden, in that specific call, didn't mention any of the Milans lying. So what? Does that mean whatever Jasmine Milan says is the truth? Whatever Stephanie Milan has said at some point is the truth? Because it just so happens that Stephanie Milan in that Snapchat conversation said there was no beef, no arguments. As for the side-by-side, I don't really know much about that. Probably didn't happen. Weird. Stephanie Milan, what she said, there was no arguments, there was nothing like that. It was all fine. Really? So I'm surprised Kaden didn't acknowledge that. But then again, when you're in a call, first time round with a new person, you might not think of everything in the moment. And depending on the timing of when that call took place, 2023 or 2024, closer or further away from the case of Noah, you might not think of everything in the moment. You may have forgotten. You may have not put your finger on a certain point at the time. But it could have been elaborated later. Either way, I think that call is interesting. Never seen it before, but does it portray Justin Roy in a negative light? In a way, yeah. And that's even by the tone of voice by Anthony. So what I want to do right now, and apologies if anything's a little bit wonky, it's never quite perfect. I just want to give you my thoughts on the matter in general, how I see Justin Roy, and maybe how other people may see him at a point in time, more so earlier on in the case when it was more fresh. The activity, the behaviour by Justin Roy could be interpreted as very determined, very passionate, willing to go the extra mile if it means getting justice, getting answers and the possible truth. But in the eyes of some other people, crossing or edging on the boundary line where it could cause some kind of trouble or tension. That Justin is trying to do everything he can within his power and maybe beyond, but no offence, not quite acknowledging that there'll be other people out there as well that may have that power to be able to do their part. Justin trying to be like Superman, do everything. But it's one of those things where when I give my interpretation, it won't please everyone. Someone, somewhere may be pissed off by it. Whether it could be anyone really. With time, Justin Roy, I guess, slowing down and stepping back here and there. More active at the start, and then with time, cooling off. But along the way, getting caught up in conflict with different people. Whether it be a breakdown in communication with someone when trying to get answers to questions and it not quite working out. People not seeing eye to eye with Justin or vice versa. Justin pushing a bit too hard where other people may feel overwhelmed or think it's a bit too much, but Justin believes it's the right thing to do at the time. Fair enough. We saw it boil over with the upcoming 1-year anniversary of Noah Presgrove, where some of the Presgrove family members were calling out Justin Roy indirectly and also mentioning about police and other people have reached out to Justin and told him to cool it down, to stop, but he did not listen. And also family members advised him to, step back or so. It was pretty hectic, wild and chaotic, if you remember. And with time, I would say Justin has quietened down. But from my perspective, I wasn't around day one, so I wouldn't have seen everything. just heard things in between, which isn't good enough, but it is what it is. I've never had any negative run-ins with Justin. It's all been fine. And, it might all come down to timing when I came across Justin Roy. But from my limited interactions, even such as more so with YouTube comment sections and whatnot, if Justin Roy has left a comment, a question, reached out in some way, to some capacity, it's not been full on. It's not been intense. Justin has been patient with me, and it's not felt suffocating. It's been okay. No issues whatsoever. Maybe the same can't be said for other people, and that's their own experiences, or maybe how they just interpret it when towards Justin. But once again, if I've come across Justin Roy at a time of where things have cooled off and one has taken a step back and may have adapted with time and reflected, I don't like using the line because it comes across as patronising, but other people could say, when you become a better person than what you once were, well, then anyone that's in the presence of that person that's got better is going to have a more positive overall encounter. So with me joining late, maybe things worked out. If I joined earlier and interacted with different people here and there, I might have seen the dark side and then the positive side. But to be honest, at the end of the day, I'd rather see the dark side in someone first. I'd rather see the negative side in someone first and then go from there. Because then the only way is up, positive. When you start off with a positive interaction, there's always room for the possibilities it could then spiral out, go downhill, and then become negative with time. A downwards trend. Not exactly hopeful, is it? But that's just the way I see it. So if what I say is, supposedly true from what I've witnessed, and it's basically been all positive with Justin Roy, no issues whatsoever, and it clearly means that I may not have the full story or the full perspective on it all, and what I may have heard has not been matched up with what I've seen, so I don't have that full feel of it. After watching or hearing that call by Kaden and Anthony, the officer, and how they spoke about Justin Roy, it doesn't sound positive, right? And if at the time Justin Roy is referring to around then as being a bit too passionate and pushing a bit too much, and he understands that now, well then obviously things have changed and improved since. But look, you look at it from the other perspective as well when it comes to the dark forces and people like that out there, how they might have been described, portrayed in some ways at some point in a really dark, negative way. Then later, some make an appearance on my channel, the comment section, the live chat, and they don't appear as bad as what people made them out to be, right? But within reason. Don't worry, it's under control, and I'll explain in a second. So, depending how you interpret it, or how one may have been portrayed or displayed at certain moments, some comments, some post, maybe without the full context, when it comes to Brooke, Bounds, Carter, you could summarize them in a couple of words based on how other people portrayed her in the past as basically the devil. Okay? That's how you could interpret it. You'd be thinking, oh shit, Brooke, Bounds, Carter, what's going to go wrong next? What are they going to do? What are they going to say? Is it going to get nasty? Is it going to be threats? Is it going to get really dark and evil? And, that's like how it can be interpreted from how things are mentioned and the atmosphere and post. But ever since, when they appeared, like on YouTube, on the channel in the comment section, I'd say Brooke, Bounds, Carter has been somewhat okay. So that's appreciated. Obviously, people that have been around much longer and seen a lot more will say, do not underestimate people out there because you could be vulnerable. See, maybe at times I tend to overestimate people rather than underestimate. But nevertheless, I would say it is under control. just because I have some positive encounters doesn't make me jump on the floor and clap and think, oh yes, this is great, and that's the only way I see it. Because things can go to shit at any point. Things can go wrong. And that's what's happened in the past. But some things that have happened in the past with people I've come across online or on YouTube, you see a neutral, slightly positive or light-hearted side, then they turn into the devil, they become the Black Widow, they show who they really are, and then they piss off. But there was no indication to begin with, and that's what the problem was. Whereas this time round, if there are dark forces present, maybe they've not shown it towards me. I've not experienced it. But because I've got that supposed knowledge that maybe some people are capable of darkness here and there, I kind of know what to expect. It's not quite a surprise attack in that sense. I mean, yeah, those videos being falsely reported doesn't look too good. People thinking who could be responsible. But once again, we acknowledge that at the time of those false reports, it was many, many months ago, early on when I was starting off, at a time of when I didn't know the dark forces and a range of other people, at a time of when I wasn't a one-man army and there was other people covering the case, so there was more attention elsewhere. That is that. But yeah, it's just one of those things where there might be material along the way, could be truthful, or it could be somewhat true, but it doesn't have the full context. It makes someone look bad, but it's in the past, and ever since, things have changed and have improved within themselves, how they react, what they say, and what they do. So you can understand the change, the transition. It's worth doing so. But that's pretty much it there for the video. As for, the call, I should say, there's still a bit more to do in the video. I think what we'll do now, just to add on with future conversations that took place from, retrospectively looking at that earlier call, at a time of when I guess the Pressy family didn't know who Officer Anthony was or didn't know too familiar. I'll just show you with the convo with Alicia and Anthony. Well, here we are with the first screenshot taken. Mine, this has been documented on my channel previously and people thought it was quite eye-opening and shocking, but more so as a whole with the other conversations too with John Fiorillo and other points mentioned. We're only focusing in on the supposed interaction communication between Officer Anthony, part of the LE, and Alicia Lee, just so you kind of understand that there is a level of communication with different family members and those either directly connected within the case or close to someone that is, so like by blood, family, mother, Alicia Lee. So you can understand the conversations, the relations, and the quality of how they come about. Do people see eye to eye? Do they get on well? Because that first time call with Kaden and Officer Anthony was quite positive and nice, how they responded back to one another. And there was a level of empathy as well from Anthony in the mindset of, how could Justin Roy tell you to do this and that? And I do want to call you too, Kaden, and I do want to communicate with you, but I don't want to do it on Justin's orders or terms, as quoted roughly by Anthony. And also talk about, oh, you're on vacation, where you at? Oh, that's nice, thank you for telling me. Have a good time and we'll meet up or have that conversation interview later on. There's a good level of understanding. It went quite well, didn't it? And that's just like first-hand encounter. And you never know how it may go, whether it be face-to-face, whether it be a phone call. You don't know. It's the unknown, the uncertainty. When it comes to a conversation here, whether it be the very first time around communicating or there's a bit of experience now, things aren't as stable here with Alicia and Anthony, supposedly, because of how Anthony responds to Alicia. Alicia either questions herself or questions more so the person she's like texting, and then the trust issues as well, which is understandable in a way. But as for this particular one, this was actually like a small screenshot from another text conversation with whoever she was talking to, typing, saying, yeah, and here's a screenshot from my conversation with Anthony, and then it's zoomed in here so you can actually see it. And then we've got a couple of pages to read through. We're not going to go as deep today because we've done it already, but this is in regards to Kathy Bingham at some point in 2024 paying Alicia Lee, Kaden Pressy, and Alicia's husband a visit at the Pressy household, the patio outside area with 1 or 2 mobile devices and a possible wallet on the side, where Kathy shows Alicia and the others some highway footage, a video supposedly. The CCTV camera was used to prove that Kathy Bingham had come down and had shown something, at least, with timestamps given. And it is 2024. The date, I think that says 060 something. It's really hard to read because it's so small, the text. But in response to that CCTV footage to prove that Kathy Bingham had been present, Anthony says, okay, thank you. Who is this so I can make sure? And who is in this video? The video being what? CCTV footage. Can you please identify who is sat down on the chairs? Or is Anthony referring to the video as in within the CCTV footage where Kathy Bingham shows that phone of a video on that device? Which one is Anthony referring to? Well, Alicia responds, Kathy Bingham, Kane's mother, Alicia. That's just confirming who's in the CCTV footage. Fair enough. This is the video my son Kaden told you about during your interview with him. Now, what interview is that? Because it's rather interesting this, when we refer back to at least that first call contact made with Kaden and Officer Anthony, that's not what's like referenced here where Alicia says, the video my son told you about during your interview. So, not that it's said with absolute confidence, but that little phone call what we saw of, where they said, right, we can arrange it next Monday or Tuesday to call, to meet up or something. Is that what the interview was, which Alicia's referring to here? I wonder. I mean, this text conversation was in 2024. Time has passed on since that first contact made with Anthony and Kaden. As said, if we ever get more context with time, we could possibly do a timeline of it all. I'm just showing you the different interactions. This is on like the extreme end scale of what had already previously taken place. Now, Officer Anthony says, did you see the video on Kathy's phone? And to be fair, Alicia could take it the wrong way, that thinking, well, if you've already seen the CCTV footage which I provided you, where it shows Kathy clearly showing a video from her phone or a phone towards myself, Alicia, you would have seen it yourself. And response-wise, Alicia says, yes, isn't that what Kaden told you? And even if Kaden hadn't told Officer Anthony, that bloody CCTV footage would show it because that's the visual proof and hard evidence, right? Either way, Alicia says, you asked him to send you a screenshot of her being at our house. I did more. I sent you the video of her sharing it to me and then discussing what was on the video. You can see my husband's shoe on the corner of the video. He was sitting on the flowerbed ledge. Anthony says, yes, that is correct. Does it show people taking clothes off? Noah? I can't see the video. As in, what, you can't see the video because the CCTV footage isn't that clear, not that zoomed in? Alicia responds, then why are you asking me if I saw the video? You can clearly hear us discussing about it, what was on the video, and see her showing it to me. As you do not trust me, I do not trust you. And that's understandable by Alicia Lee. If it's at a time of when she's already been screwed over in the past, you can understand things being a little bit tense. Anthony says, all I'm trying to do is get all the facts straight and turn over everything possible. She said in the video she couldn't get a hold of me. I guess that's Kathy Bingham, maybe. Gets a little bit blurry here, but I'll read it out to you if you can't quite see. Kaden's attorney number. Yes, he has an attorney because I cannot see that law enforcement is doing anything to protect Kaden. Only statements from Carter Combs' family trying to twist every word that he says. Carter Combs' family, just like how Kaden Pressy in that first call with Officer Anthony in the past said about the Combs family twisting everything, or in other words, what they say is incorrect, false. Right, we've seen that consistency there. Stating she speaks to OHP regularly, and you all do not believe anything Kaden says. If you're trying to turn over everything, then why don't you and whomever else interviewed Kaden let him speak without twisting his words and asking for truths? Thankfully, my son has recorded each conversation. he's had with each person that's interviewed him. So I'm speaking from the interview you just had with him. Why haven't you pulled his phone and downloaded his data? Why did you have no knowledge of his interview in October with Zachary Wright? His phone will show what time he went to the scene. Okay. This is why I wanted to show it, because granted, when we get onto Facebook and we look at the comment section, there might be more context there. I'm doing this completely raw. I'm learning as I go along in this video, just so you see the natural progression. But yeah, for Alicia to say that the October 2023 interview with Zachary Wright, that makes sense. That's good to know, because that's what I was thinking of earlier on when talking. But at what point, though, timestamp date-wise, was that first contact made with Kaden and Anthony, Officer Anthony? 2023 or 2024? You'd think it might be later on, only because Kaden retrospectively referred to how it took him quite some time to reach out to people like Zachary, or with the phone situation, as in, it's already happened, it took some time, and I'm here to relay it to you so you know. But, any more context down below, that'd be appreciated. What else? Why haven't you pulled his phone? There are a lot of things untrue which my son has stated, but instead of listening to him, he gets treated as though he is not being honest. That doesn't sit right with me. We want to know what happened to Noah. Who did this to Noah? He did not get hit by a car. How are the vehicles that Kaden saw at the scene at roughly 5:20 that morning different than the ones when law enforcement showed up? How is that not an issue? The difference of what Kaden saw at 5:20 to 5:30, different vehicles, different people, compared to what was later seen afterwards with the likes of Tyler Hardy and Tyler H, the other truckers. Pickup truck. Okay. I appreciate you sending me what we asked for. We'll continue to look into these things, and if we have any more questions for Kaden, we'll contact the attorney. Thank you. And Alicia says, I understand. You can ask questions and want answers, but you do not want to do the same for us. Do you understand how that looks? And Anthony says, we're unable to answer questions and release certain information during an open investigation. And Alicia says, understood. So there was a bit of tension at that point, at that time, back then, in 2024. You could understand it. Alicia being cautious, wary, protective, because of how things have gone within the community in the case, how they may have been treated by others as well, in Kaden Pressy. That all makes sense. As for Anthony, though, asking questions, some people could say, what, playing dumb, or just reiterating stuff to get that consistent response from different people to make sure it's all above board and correct. Who knows? Some people may play dumb to get certain things and answers, but nevertheless, you see the communication between Alicia and Anthony. It's a bit tense, isn't it? A bit defensive. It's understandable, but that's how it can come across. The first conversation between Kaden Pressy and Anthony, quite positive and welcoming and understanding. But how does it differ from the interview with Anthony and Kaden? And, as for that June 2024 private interview with Kaden and two LE guys, was Anthony one of the two or not? I can't remember. Because if Anthony was present there, how Kaden was, in a way, bullied, it wouldn't look good. But something tells me it was different people and Anthony wasn't involved. But correct me if I'm wrong. You can leave a comment down below in the comment section. Justin Roy here. This is just to show the connections at some point in the past. So if the theme of today was Justin Roy appeared in a bad picture at some point in the past as well, there was this screenshot taken by someone in regards to a response on Facebook, Donna's post, and Justin says, love how you post and then block me. Alicia Lee, how long did it take for your son to talk to police? And he didn't volunteer to go either. It took him over a month when his so-called friend got murdered. Why did he wait so long? So that's interesting that he didn't volunteer to go either. Calling out or just questioning Kaden Pressy. Alicia then says, I did not block you, and don't come at me spewing lies. We called the OHP at 6 a.m. the morning Noah was found. You don't actually know anything. That was adjusted, supposedly, by Alicia no, we didn't mean at 6 in the morning, we wouldn't have known that time, would we? Or because Kaden told us, Kaden got back at 8 in the morning onwards. So Alicia changed it in a response or later saying, no, after 6 a.m. Some people pick up on it. But why would Justin think that Alicia has blocked Justin? But then again, a lot of people jump to conclusions at times when it's heat of the moment or when people are a bit emotionally charged. I've seen it myself where I've been attacked and questioned. People have come at me and said, why did you block me, Raf? If you were blocked, it would be very obvious, okay? And I've explained it extensively in the past. If I bring it up again in the future when I've got to defend myself, I will. But there was questioning, in fairness, that Alicia Lee thought that I may have blocked her in recent time. I did not. The reasoning behind it was couldn't find my videos, couldn't watch my videos. Just for clarity, and it applies for anyone in the future. If a channel creator blocks you, you can still watch that channel's videos. It has no impact whatsoever. The only thing you can't do is when you leave a comment, when it comes to it being publicly viewable by everybody else, no one will be able to see it. That's the only restriction when it comes to blocking people. It's stupid, isn't it? But that's just how it is. So if you really didn't like people because they were very toxic on your channel and they were causing harm, negativity and whatnot, to punish them, yeah, you can block them, but they can still watch your videos, they can still relay information, they can still use that material for their negative videos and attack you onwards later. So there's no escape from that. Just wanted to make that clear. But why would Justin Roy think that Alicia blocked him? What would be the reason or cause for concern there? But it just shows that, just as an example, this particular post on Facebook, whether it be retrospectively questioning Alicia Lee's son or in the moment before Kaden did reach out to Officer Anthony, it depends the timing because we don't have the time, we don't have the date, we don't have the month, do we? I'm just putting it out there because it's just some little screenshot. It doesn't give the original Donna's post date. But if anyone can fill it in down below, feel free to do so. It'd be appreciated. But Justin Roy saying, why did it take so long for your son to take action, volunteer? Why did it take so long to talk to police? Now, Kaden Pressy has said that he's tried reaching out. He's been trying to be proactive and they didn't listen to him or they didn't take his phone quick enough. So there's only so much Kaden can do there in defence of Kaden Pressy. I understand that. Maybe Justin Roy understands it as well nowadays. I guess if it's heat of the moment or it's really early on when emotions are more raw and one person may be more passionate than the other and wants to do more, but they can only do so much because they're not a witness, they're not a party goer. Justin Roy is not a party goer, is not a family member, but somewhat close to Noah in a way, whether it be a wrestling coach or Justin's son, the son, being in the presence of Noah and a good connection forming there with time. You can understand why one would care and would want to go the extra mile. That's all fine. And then if you do happen to come across someone who may have the golden ticket to the truth, if that's how you visualized it, you might be even more motivated and passionate to get them to move, to do stuff themselves and take action. And if you don't know the full story and you may misunderstand it, let's just say as an example, Justin Roy could have been, as we see here, come on, got to do something. This could really help. Why is nothing happening? A little bit of frustration as well. There's only so much you can control. All the other extendable external factors, which are not in your hands, makes you want to push more and do more, but that's not for you. It's for them. And as for Kaden Pressy, in defence of him, he tried. People didn't listen. Or police, certain authorities didn't take action immediately, supposedly. So maybe this post more so occurred later on instead of the first-time phone call. Because, it just so happens, and, correct me if I'm wrong again, but with that first-time phone call with Kaden Pressy on vacation with family, you saw that video at the start. If you have joined late, rewind back to the beginning for context. Calling for the first time, inquiring about, because Justin Roy told me to do so. Justin Roy told my mom, and then the message was passed on for me to reach out to Anthony about the case, to share my story, to share my timeline, etc. following orders in a way by, in the eyes of Kaden, a stranger. That's why Anthony questions, do you know this guy? So it's interesting, the patterns and how things have gone about. Now, a bit unrelated, but just in case anyone was wondering, when it comes to the Pressy, like family members and whatnot, providing this is a genuine person, early on within the case when I was covering it, and I covered Alicia Lee for the very first time, I actually used the person's profile picture of Alicia, and that was from her YouTube channel profile picture, I believe at the time. Publicly viewable, okay? Ever since, I don't use photos of Alicia in thumbnails based off this particular comment. So for 6 months straight of covering this case, I've consciously tried not using any, photos and thumbnails, which could link back to certain Pressy family members. But, as for Kaden Pressy, that would be an exception, mainly because he put himself out there publicly, parts in true crime as example, okay? But Chandler Pressy, assuming that this is a Pressy-related family member, if Alicia is present or anyone else, if you want to confirm whether this person is real or not, feel free to do so. At the time, I took it serious, just to be safe. Chandler Pressy 6 months ago on my video said, bro, I'm glad someone is wanting to figure out what happened to Noah, but please quit using our faces in your videos. Interesting to say faces more than one when I believe at the time I was only using Alicia's, unless it was Kaden's too. But I said Kaden's was more public, put himself out there. And in fairness, Alicia did have a public profile picture too, so no guidelines broken there in that sense. But, to lower down certain heat levels, to compromise, I followed through with it, and videos have come since on the themes of people, but just within an appropriate nature, whether that be the title or the thumbnail or even both. But I just wanted to share this with you as like a little history, just so you can refer back to it if you want or if you're interested, because I'm sure there'll be a handful of people that may have never seen this person before, but they supposedly are a Pressy family member, whether it be a cousin or a brother to Kaden, who knows. But yeah, well, here we are, as you can see clearly, case discussion group by Siobhan Setzer. 7 hours ago it was posted. How long will it remain up for? Who knows? Caption is, I see a post has been made here about discussions in Sofa Sleuth. That's what SS means. Other times SS can mean screenshot, and by some times it can mean Sarah Smith, which is the biological mother to Jack Newton. So, there you go. Just in case you were wondering. You've got the meat and potatoes of our discussion, the phone call between Kaden Pressy and L.E. Wait, of our discussion. What does that mean, of our discussion? You mean elsewhere? I guess not so much the discussion within the video, because it wouldn't be between her. The phone call between KB and L.E. Yes, I feel if you're going to share things from another private group that you should share the actual reasons the post was made. I think it's important to see the context of the responses that were made. What that was being said was a direct result of the trooper's comments in those recordings, to reiterate Justin overstepping in his investigation and him not having all the correct information. I'm assuming since you shared the screenshot of Brooke saying it wouldn't be allowed here, that you would be okay to share. Which screenshot of Brooke and where? What, comments or something? Robbie says, 4 hours ago, Justin Roy manipulated Kaden Pressy, plain and simple. Kaden thought the trooper had asked to speak to him, when in fact Justin lied to Kaden about the trooper wanting him to call. False sense of security. Yeah, he wants you. He needs info from you. You best reach out. And when they called, they were like strangers. Hello? Hello? Why are you calling me? Why are you calling me? Interesting. People could interpret it as Justin Roy saying false things to Kaden to get Kaden to get off his ass and do something. No offence there, but I'm understanding the psychology behind it. Justin Roy not in full control, but is aware of a key person that could help. Justin over-determined, overly passionate, wants action now, wants justice as soon as possible, says a few not correct, but persuasive language, if you even want to put it that way, to try and convince Kaden to take more action sooner than later. Hence what we saw with that screenshot of Justin saying, why did it take your son so long to do this and that? Yeah, I can see it from both sides, and Kaden is kind of caught up in the middle of it, in a way. I know we can criticise and contrast Kaden's timeline, of course, but in a way, Kaden Pressy is caught in the middle of it all, from all sides. At any point, really. Kaden caught up in it with the opposition, telling him he's wrong, and people parting ways with him, friendships disconnected, which is unfortunate and will impact him. Kaden as well with the case itself, what he witnessed at the highway, detrimental to his health and mindset. But then also Kaden maybe being pushed or shoved just a little bit, maybe unknown to him at the time, by passionate people within the case and community. But despite all that, Kaden Pressy has managed to hold it together for most part of it, despite it being tough. And maybe that can apply to other party goers as well in different ways, right? But Robbie says, I really hope Justin Roy isn't using Kaden as a pawn in his weird obsession with the case. See, the problem is, and it has applied to me as well, I don't know about this case, but maybe other ones in the past. If you push too hard and you're too consistent, being too good at something can have its own negative side effects and consequences. Like when I was covering a case almost every day, like Dylan Rounds, people then started turning on me and said, what, do you have some kind of weird obsession with Dylan Rounds and the case? Why do you keep covering it? I mean, with common sense, it would be, I'm covering it because 1, I'm a YouTuber, 2, it's what I do and what I'm somewhat good at in life. Number 3, keeping the case alive, because if I stop, it will die because no one else is covering it, etc. Just common sense. But people jump in at the deep end and think the worst and call me out with no evidence. Could that apply to Justin Roy? Overly passionate at some point, very determined, crossing the boundary with some people, leading to tension, gear grinding, and negatives being issued towards Justin as in, oh, are you obsessed with this case with someone? Why do you care so much? Why are you trying so hard when other people can be doing those roles? But then again, when you're very passionate, you might go above and beyond, even if other people want you to stop. These very important keywords to acknowledge, but let's just see. Tammy, why wasn't Kaden called to the meeting the next day at the Newton house when all the kids were there talking to LE and supposed to have given their phones to LE? I've not really heard that before. That's interesting. Robbie says, you'd have to ask OHP about that. I'm speaking directly about the video posted on this thread. There is no way to get around the fact that Justin lied to Kaden. Siobhan responds to Tammy, OHP is the only one that can answer that, but I would assume since OHP had already processed the scene, they had a good idea of what may have happened and didn't feel the need to contact Kaden Pressy, but maybe a heads up would have been nice. Justin Roy, you are a liar, Robbie, and trying to manipulate the situation. Look at how you manipulate and use your wording. You are sick people, all of you. You do realise the family talked to Kaden Pressy very early on, and he said the same things. Oh, Presgrove family. Emily, OHP had a good idea of what happened. They stated it wasn't a hit and run, yet he was on the side of the highway. Suspicious. Definitely needed more investigation. Kaden Pressy should have been included in being called to the meeting. So, was Kaden Pressy called to the meeting and did not attend, or was Kaden Pressy ignored completely? Which way is it? Do we have proof and evidence? Emily, so OHP called all the partygoers except Kaden Pressy to come to the Newton house for a meeting the next day? This is strange. Why would it be the Newton household of all places and families? Wouldn't it have made more sense to be at the Combs or the Howard family, considering it's related to the party house, the party host at the time, and, the connections that way, geographically speaking? Anyway, Robbie responds to Justin, do not call me a liar. Screenshot below the screen Kaden is reading from. Be a man, take responsibility for your part in delaying this investigation with your interference. Please tell me specifically what I lied about. Kaden is reading directly from a screenshot of you texting his mother. He texted my mother to contact OHP officer Anthony, and they gave me a contact number. He then reads his mother's text. Justin needs you to call this OHP officer. Kaden is clearly under the impression he is calling the OHP trooper at his request. Kaden says, I do not know him at all when asked about you by the trooper. Yeah, I mean, in that call, Kaden did switch off the screen to go on a screenshot or a Facebook Messenger where the conversation took place and read it out quote by quote, supposedly. There is a screenshot there. We'll try and look at it in a second. Trooper Anthony says about you, he makes a lot of posts. Well, we've basically seen all that. We don't need to go over it again. We've still got some people we got to talk to, and maybe talk to again. We're working on this deal, and what did he do? He called your mom and said the highway patrol needs to talk to him. Kenna says, yep, you're manipulating people. You manipulated Kaden, maybe even Alicia. The trooper asked to have Kaden call him. OHP clearly do not need the information you think is so important. It's just sad. And there it is. But in fairness, it's not quite easy to see what's written there. But you would hope to think that what Kaden says in that call, re-quoting what you see on screen here via the text, would be no reason to change up the words. But, just as an observation, I can't read what's on screen there. You would just have to believe and hope in what Kaden is saying is reiterated from that screen. And I wouldn't question it too much. But, I just wanted to put that balance in there. Justin Roy responds to Robbie. Oh, and finisher, what does the OHP officer say at the end? Why didn't you post that? He said, let's get together and cover it up. Oh, no. Well, Anthony did laugh at the end by saying, let's cover it up. As in, cover it up like an inside job. We can, make sure that you're innocent, or, if you are responsible, we can make a deal in the background with the devil, dodgy behaviour. That was just wrong wording, and that's why Anthony ended up laughing. The position he's in, and he talks about a cover-up. Oh, wrong choice of wording there. I wouldn't say it's that deep, in my opinion, when it comes to analysing language and wording. It was just, harmless. Anyway, Justin says, and like always, you don't have the full story. Some information came out that is none of your business, and I did tell Kaden Pressy to tell the OHP officer about that information, that's it. And I did call OHP and tell him he needed to talk to Kaden Pressy, that's it. But look how your shabby little cells tried to manipulate it into something it's not, like it's some big deal. I told them they need to talk to each other. What's so bad about that? I mean, talking to one another individually, setting them up, is it like a blind date, but not literally, where you play Cupid? You tell this person about that person and that person about this person, but you don't tell them at the same time or so. So when they do meet up, it's kind of like random or unexpected. And it's like, oh, who told you? You told me? I told you? Well, he's been contacting me. Oh, he's been contacting you as well. That's why we're here right now. Maybe it's through some kind of poor miscommunication or a breakdown in it. As I said, when I said like a blind date, I don't literally apply it to this. I'm just using it as a rough example. Okay. What else do we have? But look how shabby. Okay. Remember, I'm only here for truth and justice for Noah. If any information comes out that could lead to that, of course, I turn it into LE. Do you? Tammy responds, how long ago was this? And Justin just said they still haven't talked to some of them yet. Who's in charge? Barney? Who's Barney? Barney the dinosaur? Hey kids, my name's Barney the dinosaur. I love playing hide and seek. There you go. Getting the full show. Siobhan. And he corrected himself. Obviously, Kaden Pressy didn't think it was anything since he never mentioned it in any of his statements or conversations. Oh, the cover-up line. It's just wrong line to use, but in a funny way. It can happen. Justin. Well, of course he corrected himself, but why even say it? Because he was probably meaning to say, well, let's cover this conversation elsewhere. Let's follow it up. Let's continue. But he said, cover it up instead of let's continue. Yeah, I'm just doing it on the spot here, but, I've analysed language and wording for over 10, 12 years with humans, so, I've got an idea. Robbie, clearly misspeaking. Yes, I would agree on that. Which is one of those missing puzzle pieces. I'll be sure to screenshot your response above so Trooper Anthony knows you think he's involved with the cover-up. I'm sure I can find his email address to send it in to him. Do you understand how silly you sound? Quit the name calling Justin. It's immature. Justin, they clearly know you do not have anything relevant to provide them. Did you listen to the same recording as I did? Siobhan, did Kaden Pressy think it was a problem, or these mums you've known about, why not make this public once again? Denise Rogers Arnold says, why did Kaden Pressy leave when he knew the police was there? He even started cleaning up the house in case the police officers came down there to protect the other partygoers, as Kaden said in his own words. Why was it so important that he gets home so early? He was not asked to leave the house. He just left and took his 3 friends home. But guess what? Those 3 friends home didn't complain. They wanted to go as well. If it was that important, those 3 friends, Isaac, Mikey, Brylan, should have stayed at the house. If it was important to them and they knew it was the right thing to do, then they should have stayed. They can all make their own minds up. It was just that Kaden Pressy was like the taxi service at the time, because Mikey Lair, with the age he was and being given a lift down in the first place Sunday, supposed by Gage Jessen, he needed a lift back anyway. So that was maybe one of the deciding factors, possibly to why tagging along as for Brylan, maybe the same thing. But, you know, let's just say Kaden Pressy wanted to get back home because he wanted to be around his family. Fair enough. He could have contacted them earlier about it, but I guess he chose not to. Maybe people react differently for different situations and whatnot. Just like how people return back to the house. The guys went to sleep, Kaden stayed up. You could question the guys going to sleep. How could you sleep with that on your mind? You just completely cut off? How can you even do that? But then, this time around, people are complaining about Kaden Pressy, saying, why did Kaden Pressy go home early? Why did he not stay at the house? He should have remained. Well, what about any other partygoers in between? Anyone else? Did they leave or not at a time of when they should have stayed? Because at the end of the day, if it's really early on and the police haven't told you to stay, then you should be able to go off on your way. Yeah, you might make it harder for people to try and trace and track you down and more time consuming. But, you know, let's just say that in that situation, you panicked, you were scared, you were sad, and fight or flight, instead of sticking around to wait for police to come, you thought, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to run away because it's getting too much. See, people do react differently at times when it might get a bit overwhelming. So just get home quick, be in the comfort of your home and with family members or loved ones, and then just take it from there and breathe. Is that how Kaden Pressy felt at the time? Who knows? But if it did, does that make him a bad person? No. But whilst people can jump on Kaden Pressy and say, why did he leave early? Why did he not remain at the house? Why didn't Brylan stay at the house? Why didn't Mikey stay at the house? Why didn't Isaac stay at the house if it's that important? Don't just be focusing on Kaden. You're going to question Kaden, you question the 3 other guys as well. But let's move on. Tell me, remember they wanted him to get the remaining beer away from the party house, put it into his Jeep. They made an underage boy get rid of it whilst they got rid of the guns just to give them back to the kids who were still there that owned them. Exactly. In terms of the returning of the guns where the people were already present, it was a bit weird, that the gun situation. Anyway, Siobhan, is this true though? Because an ice chest was still on the porch with beer in it. Yeah, so the talk about alcohol, being told to take it back home where you could get in trouble yourself, could be compromising for Kaden, of course, with having get in trouble with the police at the age of 18 in the past, as we've seen briefly. I don't know how true that is, because there's been some counterpoints on and off. Justin Roy responds to Robbie, how do you know what he was thinking? Why speculate on his behalf? Do you know him personally? Tammy adds on, post the rest of the conversation Justin is talking about. Robbie says, I just want to be clear, it's not okay for me to defend the trooper Anthony Linares, current assignment Troop Z, Criminal Investigation Division. You are defaming by implying he meant he misspoke as saying let's get together and cover it up. Are you actually saying you believe he was being truthful in what was said, accusing the trooper of covering up a crime? And Justin says, that was his words, not mine, but you left it out. Why? Oh, because that's why people like you do. Take stuff out of context. You act like you know him. Have you talked to him before? Look at your manipulation again. Lol, keep showing your true colours. I said show all of it. Let people decide for themselves. I left it out because he misspoke. It's very clear. Okay. Again, he said it, not me. Manipulate it any way you want. Okay, that's nothing to do with why he left prior to the officers coming down there. The guns were still down there when the officers came. Okay, it's going on and on. Right, okay. What else do we have? Laura, I have questions. When all partygoers and parents were being talked to by Ellie on the morning, the 9th of the 4th, 2023, after the gruesome death of Noah Presgrove, why were Kaden Pressy, Isaac Bryle and Mikey sent home before the LE showed up? They weren't sent home. Kaden said he left at around 7 in the morning with Isaac, Bryle and Mikey and dropped them off along the way. Kaden, in the Partners in True Crime podcast interview, said at around 6:30 a.m. Renee Milan arrived at the house, and by 7 in the morning Kaden and the guys left, and almost implying that Renee did as well. But as we've seen elsewhere, Renee remained with the girls on site. So that's what's weird, isn't it? But Kaden made the choice to leave in his vehicle and give people a lift back home. And Ken said it in his own words, Laura. Were any of other partygoers forced to track down the LE to offer up their testimony, besides Kaden? Did all people in attendance at the party house that morning actually give their full testimony during the group meeting? Did anyone retain legal counsel before giving their testimony? Oops. What else? I'd like to think Justin Roy was concerned that Kaden was being given the runaround by Ellie, and not sure why this would happen, especially due to the gruesomeness of the death of Noah. Well, if Justin Roy felt like Kaden was being given the runaround and being messed about, and Justin wanted to help Kaden in terms of Kaden being able to help the police and the case and for Noah, well then, at what point was that Facebook post mentioned then, where it showed Justin Roy questioning why Alicia, your son, isn't taking action and why it's been delayed, as in it being interpreted that Justin Roy wasn't in the know, wasn't aware of the reasoning behind Kaden and his lack of proactiveness, because he couldn't really do anything when the police wouldn't accept him. It's all about trying to understand the order of what all that went in. That's why I showed you those screenshots today. I know it doesn't give timestamps and dates. It is annoying, but you know, just working with what I've got. Were they not apprehensive regarding a lone killer running loose in small town? Were any of the LEOs related to partygoers in any way? It just seems like a lot of preferential treatment going on.
Hello?
Hello?
On KP
Is this
for recording
Officer
everything.
Anthony?
I mean, it's a positive, of course.
Hi,
Whether it was
I
meant
was
to be
told to
public or
contact
not,
you
that's
by
another
Justin.
question. But at least there is some documentation of it. So it
My name
gives
is
you
Kaden
more
Pressy.
insight on what's going on or what had.
Oh, yeah. How's it
This
going?
conversation
Pretty good,
after
how about you?
Kaden Pressy heard that
Good.
Noah was naked at the highway, knowing that he saw
Was
Noah
there
wearing
some
the black
questions or
shorts at
something
the
that you
highway.
were
Sounds
wanting
like
to
Justin
ask me?
just wants to get the truth of what happened.
I don't think so. Not at this moment.
What did he say?
I don't know. Did he?
Show rest of conversation. What
What did he
rest
say?
of
I'm a little
conversation?
confused.
Here,
I
I'll
wonder
read
if
it to
it's
you.
because I think it's because the post on Facebook.
So
is
he
only
texted
of
my
the
mother
first 4 minutes, and
saying,
what I played to you was the whole length.
to,
there you go.
contact
Before,
OHP
until I
Officer
stepped
Anthony,
on
and
it
it gave me a
with
contact
credit
number.
to the individual or whoever.
And
passing
then
it on.
he said, Justin needs you to call
Okay.
and speak to this
Fair
OHP
enough.
officer.
There we go.
So I'm guessing I just need to tell you
Control
my
once again.
story from what happened the night.
Bailey, I'm just wondering if anyone heard what was actually
What
said or
happened,
just what they wanted to hear. He
like,
said
in
quite literally
September?
Justin may
Yeah,
not
what
have
happened
all
with
the
Noah.
facts and is trying to get
Okay,
answers. Secondly,
I got
it's
you.
also said the
Okay,
officer
so-
did want to speak with him, but maybe
Man.
not the right that second, or that's not how the officer
Are
was
you
going
busy?
to go about it.
I got some minutes to spare.
He also said Justin was trying to solve... Okay, well, we've analysed most of that already, haven't we? Justin needs to let Ellie work at their pace. Frustrating for them, I'm sure. Oh, it's like a parrot on the shoulder. That's what you're interpreting it as. Andrea Chubrov, right, she just did the same thing and says it's a narrative. If you interpret it a different way, it seems pretty clear. Officer said he was wrong. How many pieces of the 5-piece puzzle do y'all have? You have 1 white shorts video. 2 house/grounds. What? What's that all about? 3 CCTV footage of what? Noah's personal effects. And 5. I don't quite understand that. Oops, going all over the place. What's that? Comanche Indian football. Okay, Diane, a third-party person cannot rightfully post online a conversation between a witness and law enforcement of an investigation. The Privacy Act prohibits disclosing records with consent. Broadcast conversation without consent is not allowed. Hope there was consent given to post this. Well, looks like something's fucked, isn't it? Oops. But, you know, to be fair, the way this case has gone, the way, you know, more importantly, that full-on private police interview with Kaden Pressy to be leaked and public and spread all over the place. Yeah. And that's still out there. So, if that's allowed, or there's no choice now, and something like this is a lot smaller scale if you weigh it up in terms of the weight. This was just a first-time call with Anthony and Kaden. The other thing, what we've seen, and what most people have seen already now, is a full-on interview with all the deep details, which was quite shocking. So, it appears to be somewhat divided here in general. Now, with that aside, just to cut through the negativity, because there is a level of darkness right now, we need to highlight some lightheartedness to break through it all. You know, just to allow people to breathe for just a second. So some of you will be familiar with this, you know? Can you see it? Just a little bit? Well, no, I did not quite have a hair transplant, but I was given hair extensions by Brooke Bounds Carter. No, I was not paid off. No, I was not given $20, but I was given some high quality horse hair. Really nice to know. It must have been from one of the rodeo shows, one of the broke-back horses, ended up getting the hair for it. So that's all great. It caused a bit of irritation, a little bit uncomfortable. So Brooke said maybe the colour needs changing. I know Strawberry, with her expertise, suggested, you know, maybe a different colour, different style, stylized. Well, it was stylized by Strawberry themselves, created a distressed look, and Brooke Bounds Carter was going to dye it pink, but you know what the problem was? We ran out of the pink dye because it was used on all of the unicorns. Brooke Bounds Carter, what are you doing with unicorns? I don't even want to know. I'll tell you one thing. There was a bit of negotiating, compromising. Compromising with Brooke? Really? Is that even possible? Well, it is now, man. And basically what's happened is, wasn't able to dye the hair, but instead went down the facial reconstruction surgery. So, if you were interested to know, no, this is not a scarecrow. This is me, in case you were wondering. Stylized by Strawberry, a distressed, disturbed look, clawing and dragging the hair down, wondering when it will come to an end, when all the darkness will go away. Who knows? But if we create a bit more clarity and we just brush it to the side, you'll be able to see what Brooke Bounds Carter has done. Now, in terms of that, I don't know what the fuck that is. Give me a second there. It appears to be some weird object. But anyway, that should be a blooper, that, but it's been caught within it. Oops, naughty me. But, you know, what does it look like? Is it okay? Is it good enough? I don't know if Brooke Bounds Carter is an expert, but with his facial realignment surgery and enhancements, I guess it's a bit of a negotiation from the pink hair dye, is it not? I hope so. But, you know, it's good that Brooke did that, was able to find some solution. Maybe the colour can come next time round, hopefully. Well, looks like I've gone back to natural. Oh God, Brooke, what have you done? Don't worry, don't be scared. You're not going to get sued. It's all okay. Though there might be other people out there that like doing the suing. But that aside, if I rip this hair off, okay? There we go. Back to normal. And some people may be wondering, oh, it's just a wig. It's just like some like hairdo. What people don't realise is what's on the back of it. That's not what it's intended for, okay? If you wanted to see what was on the front of it, well, I can try it right now. It won't fit properly. That is what it really is, okay? If you're really interested to know, this is what it really is, okay? So, to be honest, this probably looks a lot better this way around rather than how it was before. Oh, you agree, Brooke? Well, thank you. Much appreciated. Yeah? You too, Robbie? Great. It's getting a little bit ticklish on the lips. Phew. In the past, there was a lot of loose strands, so it was going all over the place. Don't have to worry about that now. It's been used enough. Yeah. Anyway, to refer back to like a conclusion summary of today, how things have come about, I wasn't expecting this in a way, as in, I thought, do a cover, do a not, but then, you know, when you see it on one of the public pages, besides Sofa Sleep, on the sleuth, on the case discussion one, and it already coming out, and, you know, Justin Roy giving his thoughts and responses, it was worth doing a video right now, whilst it's a key topic and people are present, so I can try and jump on in and make sense of it and put it into perspective. My conclusion to what we've seen and witnessed today is it's from the past, but it does paint Justin Roy in a negative way, whether that be what Kaden says or more so what Anthony says, the officer, in that call. So whilst, yes, it can make Justin Roy look like a forceful influence upon Kaden Pressy in some way, and an interference getting in the way, obstructing the police when investigating the case, it can still come down to an unfortunate misunderstanding, but also, in a way, boundaries being crossed, in which, at a point, someone can be very passionate and determined and push and push and push, which is obviously a good thing. But if you push too hard and for too long, and you go too far and you step over the line, there can be consequences, or people out there may start getting a bit frustrated, annoyed, or are like, you know what, you need to cool down, take a step back. And how it boiled over with that 1 year anniversary from what the Presgrove family said in response to Justin Roy, which was shocking. You need to cool down, you need to step down. Police have said that as well, and you're not following orders. You can see a little bit of consistency how it's gone about. But I would argue and say ever since, whilst being in the presence to a limited extent with Justin Roy, from my experience, it's been positive. So I might not experience the full picture, but at this moment in time, it seems somewhat okay. But still, archived, looking back, seeing what the situation was at a point in time, the theme of Kaden Pressy being caught up within it all, or between different people and different sides, seems to be true. But whilst Justin Roy can be painted in a negative way based off what has been said and what key people have mentioned, like with Anthony, it probably could apply to other people in the community as well in different ways with other material at some point. But at the end of the day, whilst yes, it can be somewhat truthful and important to acknowledge, it's also important to compare and contrast, as in what was mentioned about someone, how they were described at some point in a very negative way, which painted a very bad picture of that said individual. What are they like now? Have they changed for the better, for the worst, or are they still the same? That train of thought can be applied to anyone within the case or the community. And when it's come to people in the past who I've come across that have been twats, once a twat, always a twat. At least from in the Dylan Rounds case, when I came across people and they showed their true colours and they remained like that forever. And the odd individual from the Noah Presgrove case, when I think of it. Oh yeah, a couple in the past. But that aside, it needed to be covered. Does this cause backlash? Could it go wrong? Well, we'll see. I understand. It's the timing, to be honest. You know, after being silenced by whoever towards me with my videos, to fight back with these harder-hitting ones, harder-hitting material and photos and videos never seen before. It's quite a good time, or just the timing of it is interesting. Well, nevertheless, if there are any updates that need to be done in regards to this particular topic today, then I can do so. If anything needs debunking. I tried including Justin Roy's point of view at the time of what was visible. So Justin Roy does watch this and you've added on more comments or responses just now, that the time I made this video was when the post was new on the Facebook page. Give or take a few days, new things could transpire. Maybe a follow-up video is needed, but at this moment in time, I'm just documenting what's present and relaying it onto other people that won't have access to Facebook, the pages. And to be honest, more so the fact that that Facebook post only shows one of the clips, not the full length, I think. Well, I think. So you got that. Hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. Be sure to hit the share button so more people get to see it. And if you want to hit the like button, that'll be appreciated. My name's Warlike Raf. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Good night for now.